Yes, my nickname was The Hammer. I actually did the Hammer dance as a freshman on the lacrosse team when coach asked us for a fight song. I didn't have one, so I did that. See, Cornell changed my life so much, and it's so special to be here because when I got to Cornell, I was straight out of Long Island. I had the gold chain, the tank top. I drove the Camaro. I talk like this. It's been a long and challenging journey to be here. That's why I think it's so fitting that I'm talking about true grit today. You know, Angela Duckworth says that grit is the key predictor and factor of success. It's not talent, it's not title, it's not wealth, it's not good looks, it's grit. The ability to work hard for a long period of time toward a goal, to overcome, to persevere, to keep moving forward through adversity and challenges, failure and rejection. I know grit well. I know it in my own personal life. I remember meeting my wife. She was walking down the street. I saw her. It was love at first sight. For her, it took a few years. But grit kept me going and moving forward. Also, in my work that I do now, when I wrote The Energy Bus, it was rejected by over 30 publishers. I remember getting a call from my agent saying, "John, I don't think it's going to happen. Just give up." But I couldn't give up because I believed I had something that could make a difference. So I kept on putting it out there. I kept on looking at different publishers that we hadn't sent it to. So we kept on sending it out. I kept on going to bookstores, looking on the shelves, seeing what books were up there, who the publishers of those books were. Finally, John Wiley & Sons agreed to take it on. The main publisher said, "Don't do it," to his assistant. She said, "No, I want to do it." She'd only been on the job for 3 months, but she wanted to do this book. So he said, "Fine, it could be your career, but go for it." She took a chance. So now it's coming out 6 months later. I was talking to a friend. I said, "What should I do?" He said, "Just pray." So I prayed for it to be a bestseller. It came out. It was a bestseller in Korea. You see, I learned you have to be specific with your prayers. It was really this huge hit in Korea. I'm not kidding. I was getting all these calls, emails from Korea, but not one bookstore in the United States would carry this book. And so I went on a 28-city tour, paid for it by myself. The publisher would even pay for it. And I went on this tour from city to city to city, sharing the message in this book. We had 5 people in one city, 10 people in another. We had 20 people in another city. The most people we had were 100 people in Des Moines, Iowa. They thought Jeff Gordon was coming. That's why they showed up. I remember I got home and I just collapsed. I'd been gone for a while and my wife was right there. And I just collapsed. I literally just started to cry because I had given everything I had on this tour. I was away from my family. And you're with the right person when they give you strength. And my wife was definitely giving me strength. She was so supportive during that time. But something interesting happened. On that tour, people started giving the books to other people that they met. One person gave it to a coach, another person gave it to a teacher, another person gave it to a business person. Next thing you know, I'm getting calls from NFL coaches. I start working with some NBA teams. I start working with some Fortune 500 companies. Next thing you know, school districts are calling. One person at a time just started sharing this book. And now, 8 years later, I get to speak here with you today. The book has gone on to sell over 1 million copies. And I don't tell you that to brag. I tell you that because I know the journey I've been on, and I know the grit that took me there, and I know that there's someone here that wants to do something meaningful, something passionate, a business you want to build, and I'm just here to tell you that your vision, first and foremost, is where you start with grit. It all starts with a vision for the future. Because if you can see it, and you know what you want, you can create it. You'll do the work, you'll have the passion and the perseverance in order to keep on moving forward. And then we have to take that vision and we have to then fuel that vision with optimism and belief. It's so important to have that optimism and belief because as an entrepreneur, we'll deal with all the adversity, the challenges, and all the negativity that exists out there. I remember telling my dad I want to be a writer and speaker. I found my calling, Dad. His response, "What the heck you want to do that for? That's a load of junk. That won't amount to anything." My dad was a New York City police officer. Undercover narcotics. Yeah, my dad was shot a few times. He was not too big on positive energy, my dad. I love my dad. Raised me since I was 5 years old. Actually, my stepfather. But, a very loving man. But just the most negative guy on the planet. You'd get up in the morning, hey, good morning, Dad. He'd say, what's so good about it? Interesting, I write a lot about positivity now. Well, a few years after his encouraging advice, I get on the Today Show. And the show was called Get Energized Today. I remember flying up to New York to be on national television. I'm just terrified. I get to the green room. They sat me next to Queen Latifah. We had a very energizing conversation. It came my time to be with Matt Lauer. I'm walking towards the door, and Queen yells, "You go, energy guy." So I went out there, and I coached several people enhancing their energy and their optimism for their work. And as I walked out of the studio, who called me on the phone but my dad? He's like, "Your mother, I just saw you on TV. You really made a difference. We're so proud of you. We always knew you could do it." I learned a valuable lesson then and there, Not everyone's going to see your vision. Not everyone's going to share your purpose, your passion, your optimism, your belief. We have to post that sign that says, "No energy vampires allowed." Gandhi said, "I will not let anyone walk through my mind with their dirty feet." And neither should we. See, our positive energy must be greater than all the negativity. Our certainty, our belief must be greater than all the doubt. They don't really teach that in business schools, but I think it's so important that we understand that. Funny thing on that, when the energy bus first came out, I called some folks at the Johnson School and I said, "Hey, I'd love to come do a pro bono talk at the school." And they looked at the book and they said, "Well, it's really not business enough." And it's okay. I mean, that's where there was, 8 years ago. It was a different world back then. Positivity wasn't as popular as it is now. Well, it's so funny because a few months ago, I spoke at the S.C. Johnson Company, from which the Johnson School is named. And they gave the energy bus out to all their leaders to read because they believed it was so important for their leadership. And again, it was a different world back then. But what I've learned is we have to stay true to our vision, to our belief. When the fight comes to us, we have to say, okay, that's our vision. We're going to now take the fight to the world and do what we are meant to do and go out there and live it and breathe it. So we have this vision. We are fueling up with optimism, but perhaps you're not naturally positive. I'm not. People think I am because of the books that I write. I have to work really hard at it. I grew up in Long Island, New York, as I said, a Jewish-Italian family, a lot of food, a lot of guilt. So I got to work really hard at it. But what I've learned is that we can cultivate it, and all the research shows this to be true. There's a great story about a woman who goes to the village to speak to the wise woman. And she says to the wise woman, "I feel like there are two dogs inside me. I have this positive, loving, kind, and generous dog, and I have this mean-spirited, angry, negative dog, and they fight all the time. I don't know who's going to win." And the wise woman thinks for a moment and says, "I know who's going to win, the one you feed the most. So feed the positive dog." And that's what we have to do on a daily basis as we're pursuing our passion, our vision of what we want to create. Best advice I ever heard was from Dr. James Gills, the only person on the planet to complete 6 double Ironman triathlons. 6 double Ironmans, which means you do an Ironman, 24 hours later you do another one. Last time he did, he was 59 years old. I asked him how he did it. He said it was simple, really? I said, simple, really? He said, yes, I've learned to talk to myself instead of listen to myself. He said, if I listen to myself, I hear all the negative, all the fear, and all the doubt, and all the complaints. But if I talk to myself, I could feed myself with the words and the encouragement that I need to keep on moving forward. That failure, it's not meant to define you. It's meant to refine you, to be all that you're meant to be. That loss stands for learning opportunity. Stay strong. And then the challenges we face, they're not challenges, they're opportunities. See, every challenge is an opportunity to learn, to grow, to improve, and to ultimately get better. I fly a lot because I speak all over, and I was dealing with a lot of challenges. And finally I said, okay, I got to use this challenge as an opportunity. So now I use all my plane experiences as opportunities to tell stories that you just can't make up. And somehow the airlines keep on giving me more and more stories. About a year ago, I'm on the plane, just minding my own business, and my daughter, she was 15 at the time, she texted me, "I love you, Daddy." I text her back, "I love you too." I look up, the flight attendant is standing over me, staring at me. She said, "Don't you know that by having that cell phone on, you're putting the lives of everyone on this plane at risk?" I said, "Man, we're on the ground." She said, "It doesn't matter. How would you feel knowing if this plane goes down, it's because of you?" And then she storms off. The guy next to me said, "Wow, she was pretty harsh. What do you do for a living?" I said, "I speak on positive customer service." I have many more challenges that have become opportunities. You see, every challenge is an opportunity. Remember this, during the Great Depression, that's when the Empire State Building and the Golden Gate Bridge were built. So out of great challenges come great opportunities. Out of complaints and problems to markets, right? That's how we find solutions. Every entrepreneur should be saying, okay, where are the problems? Where are the complaints right now in the market, in the world, and how can I solve it? And then that brings forth the love and the care that powers grit. Love and care. Because if you don't love it, you'll never be great at it. You have to love what you do and do what you love. And you also have to care. You have to care. I was with the Pittsburgh Pirates during their training camp, speaking to the team in the locker room, and I said, how many of you believe you can work harder than you already are? Every guy raised their hand. The manager and coaches are like, what? We're paying you guys millions of dollars and you can work harder? So what's the next question? Why aren't you? And we realized, and we talked about it, to work harder, you have to care more. You have to care so much about your craft, about your work, that everything else pales in comparison, that you just care about your craft. And you put your heart and your soul and your passion into your craft. It doesn't mean you sacrifice your family, okay, that's first off. But it means that whatever your craft is, you put your heart, your soul, and your passion into it. See, there's a difference between a carpenter and a craftsman or a craftswoman. There's a difference. A carpenter builds things, but a craftswoman, a craftsman, they create a work of art. And that's where care comes in. Care more than everyone else. I believe that when you care in this world, you stand out in a world where so many don't seem to care anymore. Just caring is a great business strategy, by the way. And then last story that I want to share to really bring this all together. I think it really epitomizes what grit's all about. My family and I, talking about flying, we were flying from Jacksonville, Florida, where we live now, going to Maine, first time ever going to Maine, connecting in the Philadelphia airport. We arrived an hour and a half late for our connecting flight. We landed in Terminal A. We were leaving from Terminal F. I know in Philly you have to connect at C16, which is really far from A. You get to C16, you have to take a bus shuttle, which then takes you to F. Look at the screen, we only have 10 minutes to make our connecting flight. I look at my wife and kids. My children were 8 and 10 at the time. I said, all right, guys, let's start running. So then we start running. Okay? Have you noticed more people running through airports? Okay, next time you see someone run by you in an airport, or even around the city, just cheer them on. I do it all the time. The other day I was in the Atlanta airport and this woman ran by. I said, go, 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 I believe in you. You could do it. And she was struggling as I cheered her on, but she ran by me like this. I mean, she gave me the thumbs up. I don't always get that response, though. I was in LaGuardia, New York, and I cheered this guy on, and he gave me the finger. But it's all right. I turned a negative into a positive. I said, that's right. You're number one. So that was us. Now we're running through this airport. We're huffing, we're puffing, we're doing our best. And finally we get to C16, and there are no bus shuttles there. Look at the watch, 5 minutes to make our connecting flight. There's a woman who's heading on to the buses. I said, how long did the buses get here? She said, 4 minutes. My children start crying, we're not going to make it, we're not going to make it. So I said, guys, you have to stay positive. You have to believe, we're going to make it. I'm telling you, we're going to make it. I turned to the woman, I said, we're going to make it, right? She said, you ain't going to make it. I had to post that sign that said, no energy vampires allowed in that moment. Finally, the bus comes, we get on the bus, we get to Terminal F. It's the last gate, so now we're sprinting down Terminal F as fast as we can. I have to admit, I left my wife and kids in the dust. I was getting on that plane with or without them. And just as I arrived, they slammed the door right in my face. I said, man, my wife and kids, they're in their way, thinking that would help. She said, I'm sorry, sir, there's nothing I can do. The plane is pushing back. Look. I was like, I was like, we have all these plans, all the other flights are booked. We have to stay overnight in the airport, and we'll ruin everything. We have to get on this plane. She said, I'm sorry. Finally, my wife and kids arrive. We walk to the big window. We see the small plane. It's pushing back. And as we're watching this plane push back, we are just so dejected. But then we realized that we can see into the cockpit. And then we realized that they could see us, the pilots, and we could see them. We make eye contact. So my wife and kids start jumping up and down, waving to the pilots. About a minute later, the door opens, a woman comes out and she says, "It worked. They're gonna let you on the plane." We walked down the stairs on the tarmac. The passengers were not very positive. We take off, we land, another miracle occurred. Our luggage made it too. From one end of the airport, to the next, in 10 minutes in Philly, right? It made it. So as we're driving the way, I think, okay, this is a great teachable moment for my children. I said, so guys, what'd you learn from this experience? And I think they're gonna say, Dad, I want to stay positive. I want to believe. My 8-year-old son at the time said, Dad, I want to just keep running. And when he said it, though, I thought, there's so much truth to that. So much of our success is that we just keep running, right? We stay positive, and we never give up. If you know what you want to create, and you have a vision, and you have a purpose of why you want to go there, we don't get burned out because of what we do. We get burned out because we forget why we do it. But you remember your purpose, and you keep moving forward. I truly believe, whatever it is you want to create, I believe that when you're on that path, you will ultimately create it. And I believe it's the grit, the true grit, that will help you do it. True grit will lead to true success. And if anybody could do it, it's the amazing people in this room. Thank you so much.